Welcome back, our timeless listeners. This is Timeless Talk. I am your host, AJ, and as always, to my left, I have my co-host, ArmShark.
What's up, guys?
And today, we have a special guest with us. She's going to bring the female insight on our topic, and her name is Mariah.
Hello, guys.
So today's topic is going to be relationships.
Very important topic.
It's going to be more about not just, what you guys probably think right off the bat, which is a relationship between a guy and a girl. We are going to talk about that, but just relationships in general, meaning relationship that you have with your family, your friends, your significant other.
There's no boundaries. We're basically just letting it all hang out, We're just going to talk about any type of relationship, like AJ said, whether it's with coworkers, a significant other. We really want to dive into maybe toxic relationships.
Oh, yeah.
We could talk about our experiences with that. I know Mariah, she comes from a very diverse background. From what we know, she's a longtime friend of AJ's, and we want to thank her for being out.
Yeah, thank you for being on the show with us tonight. We appreciate it a lot.
I look forward to speaking and giving the advice.
So whatever you're comfortable sharing with the audience, go ahead and give them a little something about yourself.
Yeah, tell us a little background about you, Mariah.
I'm 23. I have about 3 jobs. I'm in school full time. I'm a hustler. The biggest thing that I'm learning in this generation is that if you want something, you have to go after it. It's not given to you. Things aren't handed out here. It's not a microwave generation. I don't care where you are in life. There's no excuses because you have one life and one life to live, and it's up to you how you're going to play it. Steph Curry didn't become Steph Curry just by throwing a ball.
Absolutely not. And a lot of millennials are just lazy-ass people, it's sad to say.
It took practice. It took effort. It took some times where he wanted to give up. It took some nights where he cried and no one seen. It took some times where people told him he was never going to be where he is, and look at him now. And despite it all, he became who he is. And the same thing with us. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter financially, mentally. If you know you have the motivation, the determination, you can make it.
Absolutely. I agree.
Well said. Well said. That's awesome. I can't agree with you more. What I'm really interested to know more about. Yeah. So, Mariah, where do you get this this drive from? Because like AJ mentioned earlier, most millennials aren't really driven like this. Again, we're stereotyping. A generation. Where do you get this drive from?
Personally, I can share from personal experience. My growing up was learning how to cook, clean, and take care of my sibling, who we're 5 years apart. She's like my world, and I became a mom at like 6 years old.
Oh, wow, okay.
My mom...
So you're a single mom. You're working.
Essentially, yeah, take care of her sibling.
You're going to school.
Yes.
Wow, this is... but you're not really a mom. But you're...
No, she pretty much was like a mom.
Yes, right. And still am. She's 18 now. She graduated a year early. She's working. I helped her get a job at 16. She's very motivated like myself. The drive I had honestly stems from seeing my family struggle, but at the same time seeing my mom stay in a toxic relationship and feeling like that was her only way out. Like she became so dependent on him, so codependent, that she doesn't know how to live without him. And for me, as a young woman, I have nothing against a man taking care of a woman, and I have nothing against a woman, being there and helping a man as well. I believe a relationship is always 50-50, and the same thing. And that doesn't just go with, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband. No, that goes with coworkers, friends. It doesn't matter where you are, siblings. You give, and you also give your time. They give their time, And growing up as a little girl, I didn't have my whole childhood where I was able to ride bikes. I had to grow up. I seen cops always raiding my house, looking for my dad, always trying to, defend, my mom. And, me and my mom would constantly get in arguments, hiding bruises because I would step in and try to protect my mom. And when I was little, I was very, very short. I'm still short right now. I am literally 4'11". I'm not big. And
I thought you were at least 5'3", no? 5'2"?
I'm 4'11", and I'm 4'11". Very small. Yeah. I've always been very petite. I put some pounds on over the years.
Yeah, you have like high heels on too. Okay.
Yeah, dude, it gives her a little extra, a couple inches there, man.
Nice. Make me look good.
Yeah. But there's something about you, Mariah, that you're explaining all this struggle and stuff, and I totally get that. But I mean, there are some kids that are going through that and they're not reacting like you. They're just all down and out and they're just fucking in their own
They're giving up too. Yeah.
Well, one thing I've learned is you could either allow your circumstances to define you, or you can make your circumstances bigger than what's going on.
Oh,
and
true
honestly,
talk.
Just drop some gems
I'm
right
gonna
now.
be honest
That is a
with you.
proverb, dude. I don't even think I can top that. That's seriously
pretty good,
real talk
right?
there.
And being honest with you, statistically speaking, crazy as it sounds, but I honestly looked up statistics with, domestic violence, with, dad in and out of prison. Statistics speaking, 85% say that women my age should have at least been with more than at least 10 guys, have at least 2-3 kids by 22,
Wow.
or
Wow.
are selling their body,
my gosh.
stripper, etc. And I am proud to say that I have been with one guy, and I've been working since I was 15 and a half. I got my first car at 16. I got my first apartment at 18 and a half, and I just continued and continued. And honestly, that's proof that just because of what you've gone through doesn't define you. You define your situation.
Boom.
It's up to you how you're going to view it. If you see nothing but negative and darkness, that's all you're going to live.
Right.
If
So it's
you
all you're gonna
learn,
focus there. Totally.
if you learn to see beyond the negative, and
Yeah.
trust me, I will 100% honestly tell you, it is not easy. I can't tell you how many times
It's hard to shift your perspective when you're going through it.
It
I
is,
imagine.
because I
Jeez.
can't tell you, there's been times where I was kicked out, for example, out of my mom's house because we had a disagreement. And I wanted to be with a guy that she knew wasn't going to benefit me, but because she had to be mom and she didn't want what I was going through to affect everybody else, she kicked me out. I lived in my car for 2 months. And I was still working full time, going to school. No one even knew that I was living in my car.
Wow.
And I was
I didn't
18.
even know that. That's so crazy.
I was 18.
Do you have like gym membership or?
Where'd you shower? Yeah, he's like, where'd you?
Well, I had my sisters. My sisters thought I was actually renting a room with a friend, and I wasn't, because one, I was too prideful to ask, and two, I was too ashamed to be like, hey, like, I need help.
Yeah.
One thing about me, I'm not gonna lie,
You're a road warrior.
I'm a prideful person. Like, I will work my ass off before I even ask for a loan, before I'm like, hey, you know what, I need
Very
help with
independent.
this or with that. Like, I will work my ass off, even if I have to.
You
go
are seriously,
ends.
Mariah. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I
it's
mean,
okay.
You're a spiritual soldier. Like, I hope you understand that.
She's a believer too, as well, by the way.
I hope you understand that. You're literally a spiritual soldier. Like, the tribulations and the struggles that we've talked about, and we're not even talking about just on the show what Mariah's sharing. I mean, she's sharing other stuff with us that AJ knows about that are very serious, deep to her heart, what's made her the strong woman that she is today. And I just, it's amazing that, that you're here with us today and that you're sharing this story. Like,
It is
I'm
amazing.
really-
No, it's like I know that she's going to be very selective on what she shares, but it's like we're just even giving them that much shows what you kind of gives you a little bit of insight what you went through to motivate you to be independent, as strong as you are,
And
So
that's the biggest reason why, like, anytime I meet anybody, I tell them, like, they'll sit there, I run into a lot of, unfortunately, I'm a very good talker, so a lot of people tend to come to me and they're like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, or like, can you ask me, can you give me advice for this? And then I give them advice, but one thing I'm learning is people don't want to hear the truth anymore. They want you to sugarcoat it. They want you to tell you the
they want
easy
you to
way
tell
out.
them, they want to hear, they want you to tell them what they want to hear.
They
That's
don't
what
want to
want.
hear,
That's
like,
what they want.
Yeah,
they
dude.
don't wanna-
And they have, sorry to cut you off.
okay.
They have selective hearing.
Yes.
As soon as you start saying stuff they don't want to hear, they're like, oh, you know what? I don't really like it that much. I'm gonna tune out right here.
And
as soon as you get back on cue though for what they want to hear, they're getting engaged again.
I can honestly admit that I was like that for a good 2 years.
I think we've all been guilty of that at some point. Right? Let's be honest.
But I
We've all been
learned
there,
really
right?
fast because one, life's too short and life's what we make it.
Absolutely.
It's your book. No one's gonna write it for you but you.
Right.
And you choose
So the
how to
future's not
write.
set. Absolutely. The future's not set.
You
right?
know?
You're writing your own path, your own
And
journey.
it's like your circumstances are supposed to make you stronger and want to succeed, not want to stay complacent and feel sorry for yourself.
You know, and that actually segues into the toxic relationship part that I was mentioning earlier. Like,
Is that what you want to delve into first? I mean, I was about to ask you guys, like, what part of what relationship type do you want to talk about first? Because there's so much to cover.
there is so much to cover. I think the interesting part about the toxicity of some relationships is that you're not really encouraging each other to be positive or to earn a goal. It's almost like you're dwelling, like the saying "misery loves company" type of deal. I mean, it's almost like the same thing. It's like And if you're in that relationship right now, we're telling you right now that you guys need to get out of it.
Absolutely.
You need to move forward, and you need to.
You're only damaging yourself, and if you put more worth in the other person more than yourself, you're already in a bad place.
The sad thing is about toxic relationships is that it doesn't just end with lovers. It could be toxic relationships that are close family members,
even friends. Yes,
even friends that you think are friends, but they're really your enemies with secret identities.
And I think the most unfortunate. Yeah, no, I agree. I think the most unfortunate out of all of them is a friend. Is family.
Yeah.
Family, because I say that because family's supposed to be, your blood's supposed to be your closest, even closer than friends, And when you have a toxic relationship within that, it just makes it so much worse. You know what I mean?
I agree. And honestly, the toxicity itself will put you at a halt in your life.
It'll fuck you up.
It will honestly stop you more than you want to be stopped.
It'll stump you.
You can continue.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't matter how much you try to push through that wall. It doesn't matter how much you're like, no, I'm going to be okay. Like, oh, she just did it again. Or he just did it again. Or you know what? She's my sister. I can't just cut her off. No. Like, at the end of the day, this is
they have
life.
that cushion. Why? We give them that cushion.
Life.
You guys notice? We give them a cushion. Their blood. That doesn't fucking matter.
And everyone around you would tell you,
Yeah.
at least on a relationship basis, everyone around you is going to tell you that person's not right for you.
Yeah.
And the people that you respect their opinions.
Who you confide in the most.
It could be even management, people that you work with. Because sometimes your parents could be fake with that shit.
Oh, yeah,
Your
man.
parents could have their
Big
own...
time. There's so many manufactured relationships I hear people talking about all the time.
Their own selfish
I'm not even close to
reasons
my
as
dad
to
or my
why.
mom. It's sad. Like, fuck, dude, I can't relate to that, but it's out there. It's
Yeah.
there,
Totally.
I agree.
It's sad. It's really, you really have to be careful on who you ask for advice, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that.
Because
That's
not
big time,
everyone
dude.
is looking for your best interest.
Yep.
They're looking to see where they can catch you falling or stumble. And if they can't catch you falling, they want to help you stumble. They don't want to help you
But
grow.
why are humans existing at this day of age with that capacity, that level of mentality? Like, is that where the weak and the strong are starting to divide? Is that the division that we're seeing?
Possibly, or you know what I think it is? It could be that, or it's like I said, the thing that people don't understand is that in relationships, there's 3 C's. And then I got this from a former pastor of mine who used to pastor me, man, and I remember him talking about it. It stuck with me. And that's 3 things. There's 3 types of relationships you have with people. They're either the confidants to you, constituents, or comrades. So a comrade is someone that shares a goal with you. They only know you because they're only there because you guys share a common goal. Say you're trying to conquer something or you're working together. That's a comrade. A constituent is someone that's only there to see what they can benefit from your life. Meaning they don't really care about you, the person. They're just there to
to feed off of you.
Absolutely, to benefit off of you in whatever way.
Like a vampire.
Exactly.
Suck you dry.
Pretty much suck you dry for your talent or whatever they're there, whatever they're benefiting from that friendship. That's why they have you in their life. That's a constituent. A confidant. Now, there's not too many of those in the world that you guys, I'm sure you can count on. But those are people that you can really confide in, you go to, that are actually living. They're for you. They're really for your best interest.
They want to
that's
see
a
you
confidant.
grow. They want to
Absolutely.
see you successful.
And that's it's beautiful. I can't believe I didn't think about bringing this up sooner. But that coincides with what we're talking about relationships
Totally
today.
does.
It does, right? So those are the 3 C's, man.
And the concierge? Where is he?
That's the 4th C.
Where's the 4th C? The hidden
the
C?
concierge.
The shadow government.
Some mob shit right here. Fucking Godfather. Yeah, no.
Up again.
You had to, bro. It's good. But yeah, no. So those are the 3 C's. I feel like those are in everything, even in relationships, right? Like, I mean, clearly they're in relationships, but I feel like even in romantic relationships, people are like, oh no, that really only goes with the non-romantic. But no, I honestly believe that it goes with every type of relationship.
I agree, because one thing about relationships is, people want to stress like the importance of communication and loyalty. No, the importance in any type of relationship,
Absolutely.
be it siblings, family, mom, dad, boyfriend, girlfriend, it doesn't matter, is growing. Like the whole
growth.
purpose,
The desire to grow. And that
desire
shared
growth.
desire.
Yes,
Absolutely.
the whole point of our relationship with God isn't to stand still. It's
Thank
to
you.
grow. It's to learn. It's to succeed and know that when he says that no weapon formed against us shall prosper, he means that not because trials aren't going to hit us, but because trials are going to hit us.
We're gonna get tested. Yeah,
grow,
those waters
and
are
we
gonna
need
get
to
rough.
Succeed through it,
Absolutely.
and
It's to overcome it.
Yes, and the biggest thing in this generation, is that they lack that. They don't have no motivation. They don't have no drive. They don't have no one to push them, because all they know is everyone feeding off of them. And
Absolutely.
one thing that I've learned from toxic relationships personally is that you can be super super motivated, super positive, and yet if you're around someone that's toxic for so long, they end up draining you, and you have nothing to get.
Yep.
And that's the importance of realizing who is meant to be in your life and who isn't.
You have to know the difference to be able to siphon through it.
And
Absolutely.
honestly, sometimes we get so bombarded and blinded by the lies, by the manipulation, by the deception, by the I love you, I'm here for you, I got you.
Communication's filled with that. Have you guys noticed? It's so filled with that
they're
shit.
They're always
it's
the
like,
first
fuck.
to say I love you, the fastest to say it.
Yeah.
That's usually always an indicator
Because
that
that's how they get you. Yeah,
toxic
man.
Britney Spears, Toxicity, play that song.
What the fuck? Can you just drop that right now?
Down, right. She's
Well,
right,
I told you it was wild card for a reason. This guy.
Here's the thing. I don't know if what I was in can be defined as a toxic relationship, but we definitely fed to each other.
So wait, hold on. Let me just pause real quick. So we're going to start off with toxic relationships? All right, let's make that the first one then.
Right, absolutely.
All right,
was there a timeline?
No, there wasn't. Just go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. We didn't listen to AJ's outline.
My outline, I kind of had one. I'm leaving this in here. No, I just because we talked about different types of relationships. We'll just start with toxic ones.
What was the first topic on the outline?
No, there's no order. I just said
okay.
I said what we were. I just kind of went over what we were going to cover. You know, I'm gonna edit this part out, but continue your story. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, like yeah.
So
So,
you were rudely interrupted?
Yeah, excuse me.
Thank you.
I was rudely interrupted. Go ahead.
AJ.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, but so basically, we were just like we fed to each other's like mischievous side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wanted to be badder. She wanted to be even badder. You know, we just kept doing like we had an example where really like playful stuff, but
Yeah.
we were on.
We're not gonna disclose who it is. I think I know who you're talking about. We had some fun times with this person.
We'll call her the Islander.
We're gonna call her the Islander. That's good.
Right.
I knew this.
Right.
Past ex of his. We're
This
not
is
gonna
actually a pretty
disclose
cool
who
story.
she was.
Do you mind hearing the story, Mariah? Or?
No, go ahead, dude. That's
here.
fine. Go ahead.
All right, cool.
Oh, do
So-
you mind? You don't mind, right?
I want to hear.
All right, go ahead.
We were like, we went to Sunset Boulevard, Saddle Ranch Bar, where they had the mechanical bull, and we like.
Oh, I know all about
She
that.
knows all about that place.
So I had a history there. Okay, we were going there to get my red sweater back. It was a freaking badass.
Well, you left it there or what?
No, dude. It's a. Oh my gosh.
Is it your fry jacket?
They took it from me. My fry jacket.
Oh, dude.
by the way, listeners don't realize that
Yes.
Futurama fry is actually based off of me.
Oh, it is.
ArmShark,
Just a disclosure to Matt Groening. He definitely took ArmShark's life story and put it in fry.
Which I appreciate that because you already told a lot of my future, which I'm impressed
He
with.
knows what to
Thank
expect.
you. Shout out, plug for Matt Groening on that.
Plug of Matt Groening and Futurama. If you guys aren't familiar with that show, I don't know what you've been doing with your life, but it's a
Abercrombie
awesome
and Fitch.
Go ahead.
That was the name of the brand of the sweater I had. They had Abercrombie and Fitch was like the really cool brand.
Fun
back
fact:
then.
Fry's jackets
It
actually.
was
go to
$100
Outpost.
sweater. Okay, it was an expensive sweater, and I got in a fight with this big tall dude.
Oh, you took it off.
And out of the rumble, I took it off.
Yeah.
That's another story. I won't get into the fight, but
This is the same night, but it was a different night. You went back
bro.
to get it.
Okay, the bouncer took it. The front desk guy. And then he was wearing it the next day.
Oh shit!
Yes.
So
Okay.
he knew it was a nice jacket. He's like, "Oh, I come up."
I'm not even
So you
joking.
put
And
it
he
on.
didn't even fill it in.
Oh,
like
dude.
you could tell it was mine because I had a
Yeah.
little stain or something. I went to management. I complained because I went there the night to get my jacket, and they were all on his side. And they're like, "That's
fucked
that's
up,
that
dude.
guy that got in a fight, and the cops came, and like they didn't like me at all." So, anyways, that's just a little prelude introduction to the story, just so you know the background. So, meanwhile, I tell my my girl, hey, where we always have like run in with the cops. We always like mischievous, like gangster kind
was
of
a little
like
out there, man.
right?
That
We were
makes
both
sense,
like that
yeah.
though. I kind
You
of
guys are good for each other, dude.
I fed to it. No, it was toxic, bro. Right? That's what we're talking
I
about.
know, I'm just
It
being
wasn't.
smart-ass.
It's mischievous, right?
No, yeah, of course.
But so, anyways, so we go there and we start talking, smack. We start talking garbage to the people, just mouthing off, just for fun, and then we're like, hey, so we went across the street in a hotel. We broke into the hotel because.
Oh my god.
As you know, on Sunset, you can't just freely
It's
walk into a
ArmShark for you.
hotel.
It's just-
Everything is like lock and key. You have to be like
Yeah.
a member or guest. So we found some side
So,
entrance.
fuck asking somebody. We're just gonna do this the way we need to.
Yeah, no. So we used to travel places. We would just sleep in our car, and then we would go to hotels, fancy hotels in San Diego. And you have a hotel. We have a women's club and a men's club. You just walk in like you own the place with a towel and no shirt, and they just let you walk right in and use whatever you want.
What the
We
He knew the ins and outs of this shit.
we
Look
would
at
go
his
to
way to save
hotels. Listen, like seriously, we would go to hotels and we would wait in hallways for maids to leave doors open. We'd run in the room, close it, and lock it, and take a shower.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they wouldn't say shit ever.
So the do not disturb on the door. You're good,
Yeah,
dude.
well, they think it's the resident living there.
Oh,
like,
jeez.
oh my bad, I'm too early. I'll let him shower.
Yeah, they thought whoever was in that room, that was their room.
my
But anyways, yeah, I'm getting off the topic here. But so we
Yeah.
broke into this hotel. We break in onto the roof, and we get buckets of ice. We just start throwing it. at the
Across,
Sound Ranch
right?
bar. Everyone's sitting outside, and everyone's looking everywhere. And you're just like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And we're just throwing ice. It's like, so that was like my little revenge for my. But
Not getting your jacket back. Yeah.
no, but after that was actually the creepy story. It was like what I kind of wanted to get to.
Okay.
If you go around that area, there's like little houses there in the Hollywood area. There's this like I don't know, like it wasn't like just a house. It had like 3 separate buildings all behind one gate. Like it was like surrounded fence. The fence was like had little spiky edges, and there was a door open, and there was like hills. And we walk up this hill, and there's a little shed, and the door was open to the shed. And we walk into the shed, and there was a rifle leaning up against. And she goes, "ArmShark, grab the rifle." And I go, "All right." And I walk in to grab the rifle, and there's like this 6'5"
Oh, fuck
burly,
that run, dude. Run.
fat dude, just like going.
I grabbed his gun, bro.
Like that, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And we just took off and ran away. But that was like that's the story I wanted to share with you guys.
So you guys just basically dared each other to do a lot of crazy, unorthodox shit. That's why it was toxic.
Right.
One of you was bound to die at some point.
Yeah.
Go, baby, do that. Top you. Yeah, I'm gonna top you today. Fuck that. You wanna rob that person? I'll rob that one over there.
Well, Mariah, let me ask you: have you ever experienced in a similar toxic relationship? We're not even similar. What is your definition of toxic?
Yeah,
relationship?
you're about to get into that. What were you saying about toxicity? Go ahead.
Like I don't know if I caught it, but there's so many different forms of toxicity. It can stem from mental to physical to just keeping you stuck in a place. I can share my personal experience. I was in a relationship for 6.5 years. My whole future was around him. It didn't matter what my parents said. It didn't matter.
So this was a toxic relationship that you had romantically with somebody.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll share a best friend that I actually had as well. But talking, between me and this guy, I fell in love with him. I was young. I was 19. He was 27. All my sisters, I have 7 sisters, so a lot of them have kind of lived my life, and they were like, I always learned from them, and they were always like, he's older, like, be careful, he's gone through this, he's gone through that, but I was just so young and prideful. I wanted to experience, I grew up in church. I was like that cute
Rebel
little
child. Christian
girl where I was just like, I want to know what life is. I want to know a bad boy. I don't want a church guy. I don't want this. I don't want, like, I started realizing I had so much resentment.
And you deserved that experience, that bad boy.
In a sense,
experience.
I agree. I agree.
Right?
This guy encouraging it over here. Go try some fuck shit. Why don't you? Yeah, he said so.
Go fuck up your life. It's okay.
It's alright. You're gonna learn, right? It won't kill you.
No, I
Right, you
agree.
got it out of your system. You figured
did get it out of your system,
how
bro.
the other people live.
Yeah,
You figured out how that.
and it taught me. But when it first started, I think every guy, they tell you what you want to hear. He lavished me with gifts. He lavished me with all kinds of stuff. I was very innocent. When I say innocent, I mean I didn't know anything about the world, about secular music, about like the game on the streets, as far as, dealing, be it cocaine or weed and all that stuff. And he kind of opened my eyes to so much where I was like, whoa, what the fuck is this? Like, I
showed you
I
older
grew
world,
up like in that lifestyle with my dad, but I was never really around it because the cops always
So you were
came.
exposed to it, but you didn't really.
Yeah, like
experience
I
it,
seen my
right?
dad,
and it's
you know.
crazy because
around
I
it.
thought everyone's heard of the game,
Yeah, no,
I mean, 50
was,
like it feels pretty popular. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Wait, what were you going with? That was so random. The game? Like, what the fuck? She's like, why'd you bring that up?
No, but
Like, what?
No, but I get you.
you seem like you're kind of gangster though. Like,
She is, dude.
Right,
She has,
I mean,
she
you
has
have
a little bit of a thuggish side to her.
Now
right?
I am, because
okay.
now
No
I
thug
don't
now.
take shit from anybody, be it a guy or female. I will fuck someone up just because I
That's good though. You're not a pushover what
Right,
she's
right,
been through,
right.
and I know she's been through a lot. So it's not a shocker to me that you're defending yourself.
you're a
that
strong
way.
woman.
And you know what? In this relationship, in the beginning, the first couple years, it was like fun, nice adventures, etc. And then it became where, I was sick. I had, for those of you that don't know, I was diagnosed with leukemia. I was on chemotherapy. He wanted a family, I'm assuming.
Real quick sidebar: she beat it.
Yes, I did.
Right, that's amazing. Way to go, man.
Yes.
I mean,
But I did beat it even through this relationship. I can't tell you how many times I almost lost my life because of the relationship, because there was just so much
It's a
stress
testimony in
and
itself, though.
mentally.
It, you know?
And the toxicity, it became where he just was so manipulative and deceitful with me, where everything I did, he made me feel bad about myself. And then he ended up stepping out on me, despite of him making me feel like nothing and that I was worthless.
You're a living example of God living inside you. You know what I mean? And just maintaining positivity, like literally. You know, like you overcame cancer, you've overcame tribulation, you've overcame this toxic relationship. I mean, and it shows you, and what I'm, you know, it shows you that the Holy Spirit is real.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
He's inside all of us.
And I'm not going to lie.
Because you're focusing on that, and you know the truth, you know, so it's just helping you get through all this.
And I'm definitely not going to lie.
I don't want to offend anybody out there.
No.
It's like,
But-
I don't want to put a gender on the creator.
Yeah, there's no gender on there. At least we're not gonna
I
give it away.
definitely can say that, you know, honestly, there were times where I didn't want to live, let alone want anything to do with God. And like I said, I grew up in church. So for me, like, I can tell you.
It's hard to do that if you
Yeah.
grow up in church.
And so for me, like, to try to push God away, like, honestly, the times where I can't tell you, in 2014, I'll share, a day before Christmas, me and him got into it because he was accusing me that I was sleeping around. And
Okay, you and the guy, not God.
yeah.
Okay, I was following that,
obviously.
like, wow, God's sleeping around on you, Mariah.
Like, what are you
God? No, I'm playing.
See, but all right, look. Now,
No, but
I'm glad you got into that because it's like that just makes the whole cheating concept more real. Like, what are you doing, bro? To be worrying
and not
about
only that, but you know, a day
Right?
before Christmas, I went on a suicidal spree, and I almost drove.
Wait,
my...
okay. I thought you said killing spree for a second.
No,
I'm sorry.
suicidal spree, where
Yeah,
like
that's
I went
serious.
missing for 3 days.
Wow.
I planned how I wanted to die.
Oh, jeez.
And my car, I was actually on the 405, and if you go off the 405 past the Getty Museum, you'll pass like a little bridge, and you can actually go off if you go to the side. And I knew where I wanted to take my life. I don't know what the heck happened. I know it was God, but my brakes got stuck the moment I was about to hit the bridge.
The railing or the off.
To go off, and my car flipped.
Oh, shit.
And it went all the way through traffic. And I don't know what the hell that day. It was on a Friday. It was busy. And I did not get hit or nothing. That was the first time.
That's definitely God. Like, what
That's,
else?
I could honestly say, a living testimony.
My gosh, Mariah. So, this is yet another experience that we're talking about where it's near death.
Yep.
And you're here sharing with... And our lives, I know... You may not know because like you don't know me very well, but our lives parallel each other so much. Because I've been through so many different similar situations. The way I looked at it was Vegas was just going to be like, you know, Miami's beach is like, what's Oregon?
Yeah.
You know, but you'll be surprised. A lot of it's out there. But it's just
agree.
all about who you talk to.
It's everywhere, man.
And honestly, like,
Because
the
there's
biggest...
shitty people earlier. It's kind of like we were talking about earlier off the record. Remember when I was talking to you earlier on the
Yeah.
phone? It's one of those things where it doesn't matter. In a way, it doesn't matter where you go. There's gonna be shitty people no matter where you go.
Yep.
Right, yeah.
Someone's always gonna be having. Everybody's got their own agenda and
Like,
what
there's
they
a lot
want
of
to get
shit
from
ton of
you.
drugs in Oregon.
Oh fuck yeah, there is, dude. They're
But
playing all
at the
kinds
end
of
of the day,
psychedelics.
like, you know, the importance of recognizing that you're in a relationship. Like, it took me almost 3 times where the last time I did overdose and I didn't make it. I almost didn't make it. And it's like when shit hits the fan like that, like, it shouldn't have to take you that much
to realize
for you to
Snap out of
realize
it,
that
yeah.
you're in a bad position.
I
Like,
agree.
honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's very, very hard to walk away from somebody that you love, be it
Yes.
a relationship with a boyfriend or a
Right.
sibling or a friend or coworker. Trust me. But you know what? It's probably the best decision I've ever made, because one thing that I'm learning, you know, one thing that you have to learn, you know, once you decide to let go of somebody, you have to learn how to love who you are again. You have to learn how to be who you really are.
And that actually goes in real quick, if you don't mind me interrupting real quick. What I was telling ArmShark off the record just minutes before we started our podcast, before you got here, I was talking about something that Will Smith said recently on YouTube. I think it was Facebook. I was just scrolling through and I saw this, and it was so true. He was talking about happiness, how he's been married to Jada for I don't know how long now, right? And they both realize that happiness, you can make someone feel, you can make someone feel a certain way. You can make them feel excited. You can make them laugh. You can make them smile. You can make them feel good, but you can't make them happy.
Yep.
You really can't. Think about it. It really comes down to the individual. Like I was telling you off the record,
Yeah.
you are responsible for your own happiness, honestly. And if you can't find it in yourself, prior to that person,
you're not gonna find it.
You're
the
not.
next one or
If
the
you
next
base it
one.
on somebody else, and just, why would you base your happiness on someone that can potentially let you down?
And not only
Let's
that,
be honest,
you know,
right? It's reckless as hell.
Yeah, that's true thoughts, man.
Hey, man, you know,
And
that's
I
toxic.
can
That's
honestly-
toxic as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I can
So-
put, you know, I like I said, I grew up in church, and one thing that I did a sermon on when I was 16, I was really into church, guys, and I ran actually a youth group. I
wow.
had like
Okay.
women like come to me. I was 16. I had women come to me like, "Hey, can you give me advice? Can you do this?" And I was like, I didn't know anything. I didn't know nothing about relationships. One thing that a sermon that God gave me a while back was the difference between joy and the difference between happiness. Happiness is based on happenings.
Yeah.
Like the secular world is constantly happy if their money's right, if the dog doesn't shit on the bed.
See
if
that? No,
the
real quick, let me
kids-
just say this too. And not only that, happiness is a temporary feeling.
Yeah.
You're not gonna feel that shit 24/7. Like that's an unrealistic thing to say.
Yeah. And-
It's an emotion that goes away. You're not gonna feel happy all the
So
time.
what about joy?
It's
and
not possible.
joy is
Right?
knowing.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Joy is
Totally.
knowing
Yeah.
that you're sustained in God, whether you're walking close with Him, whether you're
Whether
a
you're
little
feeling happy or not,
farsighted,
yeah.
whether you feel like you've fallen too far. Like God, in the Word of God, you're never too far from Him. It doesn't
Never.
matter what path you decide to go. And if you have a calling in your life, I don't care how far you try to run. I don't care how much drugs you try to get in. I don't care how much you try to get fucked up every day. God still has a calling on your life, and He's never going to stop pursuing you.
Just believe. Like,
Exactly.
No
Stop
one
running
can touch
away
your
and face it.
belief.
Yeah.
no one
And-
can touch your belief, period. Like,
And, you know, one thing,
Absolutely.
and honestly, at 16, when I seen that, like, you know, the big difference between joy and happiness is joy is seen beyond your circumstance, seen beyond
Nice.
that trial, that fire, that broken heart, that, you know, broken marriage between your parents, that, you know, daddy not being around, that mom deciding to leave you when you were 2 years old and you feel like, you know, I don't have no one to go to, that sickness that you felt, you know, made you who you are now. Like, joy is knowing, you know what, I'm going to be happy regardless, because you know what, this isn't going to define me. I'm going to define it. I'm going to make
Boom.
Menzie, I'm going to fight for my happiness. I'm going to fight for where I want to be, because you know what, no one's going to give it to me.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Thank you. You just proved my point. If you just that's my point exactly. If you can't find it in yourself,
Yep.
two things should be there. You're in no position to be in a relationship.
yeah.
You don't even know how to figure out how to maintain your own happiness in case some shit does go south.
Or your own life.
Absolutely.
You
Like,
know, you're-
okay, so you're telling me this girl's not in your life anymore. You're gonna slit your wrist now?
And that's the thing about
Like,
the
I'm not
toxic
joking about
relationships.
suicide, but you get my
No.
point.
Yeah.
You don't base that off of somebody else. That's such a reckless thing to do. You know what I mean? It goes back to what I was saying. You're gonna do that. You're basically essentially putting your happiness on someone that can let you
Yeah.
down. That already
And one
sounds
thing-
crazy, right?
And
It's
And
true.
one thing about that is,
Usually that other person's using you or something.
Yeah, no,
you-
exactly. So
One thing about
basically,
that is-
we could put the toxic relationship in the category of a constituent.
Yeah.
Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
there for their benefit.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
one
makes
thing
it.
about that
not really
is
yours. They're not for you.
what people fail to comprehend, let alone understand, is that things in this world are temporary. That
Absolutely.
job that you have,
Everything
that career
is.
you have, just as quick as you got it, is as quick as you can lose it.
Yep.
So why would you decide to base everything and throw all your money in that pile for
Status.
that one thing, when
Right.
in
People want the
reality
status quo. It's
that's
sad.
not gonna, you know, one thing
Because you know we tell ourselves a lie. Oh, that's gonna make me happy.
Yeah.
That's gonna make me
like,
feel
if I
fulfilled.
have all the money, I'll be good. No, look, at
it's
the
a
end of the
self-taught
day,
lie, bro. Right?
Yeah.
the things that we forget to cherish are the free things in life.
Yes.
The
And
bread.
what's interesting is you're actually dabbling into the future of corporate culture.
Mm-hmm.
Corporations are trying to tap into this type of mentality, although they're trying to remove God clearly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
But they're
of
trying to
course.
tap into this, and when it comes down to it, it's always God. It's always the Bible. That's really what you're using.
Mm-hmm.
You're using that guideline. You're just facading under whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it.
I
You know,
agree.
Burke and Burke's fucking corporate counseling, whatever, right?
Yeah, dude. But they're not telling you that part of it because that's the dark side of the agenda. They don't want you to
Yeah,
see.
because
And
they
they're
don't
trying
want to
cover it.
admit that at
Absolutely.
the end of the day, God does play a role in every part of our
They're trying to
daily
remove him out of
lives.
everything. If you guys notice, they're trying to
Yeah,
remove
and
God
no
out of
matter
everything.
what,
Sabotage it.
they feel like, oh,
Freedom of speech is under attack.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was King Arthur's message.
Yeah.
He has confirmation that freedom of speech is under attack
Wait
in
till you know who
America
Karl
today.
Armstrong- wait till she gets to know who
King
who
Arthur,
is.
you know, the ancient King Arthur. He's been reincarnated a few times, and we know the
We
living
believe-
King Arthur.
we
today.
know the currently living King Arthur. He really proclaims himself to be King Arthur. Like, bro, this is who I am now. And we're like, all right,
Is he real?
he's King.
he's a
Arthur.
real person. Yeah, we're not making this up.
We'll
He's
show
a
you a
real person.
picture later. But let's,
I can't.
Yeah, we're gonna.
So I have to ask you a really tough question. Then.
Okay, good.
Do you believe that sin is a good thing?
Do I believe that sin is a good thing? No.
Okay. Earlier.
That's the easy answer.
Earlier,
of course it's not good. We all know that.
So AJ, I don't know if your listeners heard AJ said, of course it's not good. Although earlier we did establish that you learned and grew towards positivity
Because
from
of sin.
Yeah, that's true. No,
Yeah.
that's a good way. No, we did talk about that, didn't we?
So who have we learned that sin is bad?
Dude.
Who has taught us that? Has the Bible taught us that as church? But you don't have to answer that question.
Okay.
Where I'm getting
So
at
wait,
is that
real quick. So well, no, I'm gonna let you go ahead and say what you're gonna say. Then I'll see if I was gonna ask.
because this I don't know the answer either. Like I'm not
I
here
feel
to
like-
I'm not here to like preach or to like
No, no,
go,
no,
I
no.
got the answer. I'm just
I just
you know,
feel I feel
food
like,
for
I feel like
thought,
maybe
you know?
I feel like sin is not bad as long as you learn from it.
Yep.
Do you agree with that?
Thank you.
I think that's what you're
It's
trying to get at, right?
okay,
Is that what you're trying to say?
right,
Yeah,
it's
that's what
almost
you're trying
like
to say, right?
Because we're human. We're
Right. We got the free will.
we
If
know.
you keep
No.
doing
Taking-
it,
Yeah.
that's where it becomes.
The inconsistency.
Go ahead, just keep at it, man.
Yeah.
Just keep, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's like
No,
pretty much.
but it's true.
Just keep a little bit more. Go ahead. Yeah, you'll see.
Yeah.
You know, and then finally you do it, you see, or
Yes,
you
sir.
don't. You choose
Yeah.
not to.
I
You're
agree.
consciously choosing to blind yourself.
Yes.
Like that's crazy. How do we know this, but other people don't know this? I don't.
Well, either they
Or do they-
either
they don't
either they
care?
don't know. Yeah, it could be that, or
Or-
they just don't want to talk about it. They don't voice it how
Or
we're voicing it. You know what I'm saying? They
they're
don't even
just
think
so
about it. enough.
blinded on one-sided, and they just don't want to hear it.
Absolutely,
You know?
it goes back to distorted reality. We talked about a couple episodes ago. They don't want the reality shaken.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you weren't here, you weren't
Right.
present for that episode, but we were talking about how some people are just so accustomed to how they live. That's the second something outsourced comes in and shakes their reality,
It's
they don't want
like
to believe it.
us.
Even if it makes
Yeah.
sense to them, they're like, I don't want to believe that. That makes me feel
Like, this
convicted.
is- yeah.
So I don't want.
Well, right,
I'm choosing not to
I
listen to
like
that.
to challenge
believe
you a
it,
little bit because I know you mentioned your faith a lot, and I love that. And
This comes with it, okay?
yeah, so no, I don't know if I talked about this on the prior
Did you?
podcast.
I don't know.
You can take it off if I did.
No. If you did, yeah, it's fine. Well, go ahead.
I just really want to know your opinion on, everyone knows that Jesus Christ died on the cross and then he rose from the grave and whatnot. The story, everyone's aware of that story, right? So, how did he die on the cross? He was betrayed, right? I think Peter betrayed him and Judas, right?
Yep.
Mainly Judas, but Peter
Judas,
denied
what?
him 3 times.
He sold him out for gold,
Yeah.
shekels or whatever, and
Yeah.
then he committed suicide or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
himself.
And that's what we're taught. We kind of have a negative connotation behind the story. Although it does say that he forgave Judas before he even did that, even though he knew Judas was going to betray him before he can die. So in turn, should we be grateful for Judas?
I think so.
Right?
I would say-
believe
I would say
too.
so too, because you know
Without
what?
him,
Well,
he would never die on the cross.
And not
yes and no.
only-
I think about it this way too. If it was God's will, which it was, he would have found his way up there somehow.
Yeah, no matter.
Thank
what.
You see what I'm saying?
And
Like,
the-
regardless, he
I think the
would've found his way up
story
there
is that
somehow.
we're not being taught
It was
is
God's
that
will,
this is
so.
really a story that whatever you do, you can even betray me, nigga, right? You can betray me, and I'm still gonna forgive you. You. I'm not saying go out there
But
and commit
see-
suicide or anything like that, but I'm
but-
just saying that he knows your heart, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
But the thing about that is, forgiveness is tricky for people nowadays.
Right?
They
Yeah,
it
will
is.
say, I can be like, hey, I forgive you, AJ, but hold so much resentment towards you deep down inside. And
Right.
that's where, honestly, you have to realize, like, honestly, I did a lot of research, and I studied in Greek and Hebrew growing up in the Word and God, etc.
Interesting.
And, one thing that I'm learning, even now, is that a lot of our issues have a root. There's a root to everything we're
Totally.
dealing with, and in order for us to move or heal or forgive a person, we have to figure out the root and forgive that person.
How am I?
Right.
I'm not here. I'm not your muse. I'm not here to make you happy
Yeah.
and comfortable with yourself.
agree.
I just
course.
love God, but I can't tell you that because you might get offended and you have to go run in your safe space. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So now I just have
No,
to
no,
be
of course.
joyful.
No,
and
yeah.
You just gotta talk, mumbles behind my back
see-
about me being joyful, right?
But,
Or-
Yeah.
but
No,
see,
of
the
course,
thing
that's what they're gonna
is
do.
you shouldn't have to hide who you really are.
You shouldn't.
If-
If that
and-
person really cares about being with you, then
Yeah.
they're gonna make that
Be
work.
it a friend,
Th-
be it a
yeah.
relationship, be it siblings, be it coworkers. At the end of the day, you're created who you are. There's not another person like you. There's not another person like me. There's not another person like AJ. And no matter how much any of us try, we're who we are for a reason.
Absolutely.
And for that reason, we're meant to live our life to the fullest.
Yeah.
And we're meant to be who we are. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a female. I got the looks. I got the attitude, but I also got the mouth. And one thing about that is, like, at the end of the day, I am not afraid to put anybody, be it a guy or a girl, coworker or manager, in their place. Because one thing that I've learned is we're all equal. If I work as hard as you do, just because you're a man with a dick don't make you any better because I'm a girl with a vagina.
So I like how you mentioned that. Man with a dick, girl with a vagina. What if you were a girl with a dick?
Oh, God.
Or
this is ArmShark, man. I'm telling you.
I would
with
still
a
work
vagina.
as hard.
Would you be as equal?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I'm still gonna be a hustler. I'm still gonna put people.
Why would they want to change her mentality?
She's mentioning
I have a cock and a vagina. I don't know. I mean, I might not have the same confidence that I did. If I was a full woman, I mean, hey, I don't know. That's funny.
But honestly, I say that.
I'm sorry. That was great, dude. Okay. I didn't expect that coming. Go ahead, though. That was good. I'm going to shake it up a
She set me up for that.
She did, though. You kind of did.
That's good.
You gave him the opportunity. He ran through the window. Yeah. So you opened the window for him, he jumped through it.
But I say that because, honestly, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your race is, what you've been through, where you are in life right now. Like, you shouldn't have to hide who you are. Your identity is so important. It's so vital. And honestly, that's why I said, what I mentioned earlier, like, so many times we get lost in that relationship, in that friendship, that we begin to lose ourselves, and we begin to lose who we truly are.
So, and that's the thing. You can have a truly toxic relationship, whether not just romantic, but with anybody.
Yep.
This is
and
toxic
you can
relationships
begin
in general.
to lose, like that saying. I know we heard it all as a little kid, tell me who your friends are, I'll tell you who you are. As a little girl, as a little boy, you don't understand that. You're just like, oh, mom, you just don't want me to hang out with them. Or, you're 12, 13, you want to go out with your friends, and you're like, no, your mom's telling you no, your dad's
because
telling
they were
you no.
too lazy to stop and explain it. They had no patience. I
So
can't
let me-
explain
no,
to
okay,
you
look,
the
so let
reasons
me-
why this saying means this. It's just like, listen to the saying.
Yeah, they would just no. If you notice, they would never explain the saying. They'll just tell you, "Trust me on it. It's right." They would never want to explain why.
That's
But-
the
I'm going to
disconnect.
question it.
That's
I'm going
the
to test
disconnect.
it
That's
out.
what happened. That's a disconnect right there.
Yeah,
Of course,
but
it's a huge
at the
disconnect.
end of the day, that's where we have to learn and be wise about it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right,
and we have to.
good for you. Take some ownership.
Yeah,
That's what they're
like-
saying.
Yeah.
Take some damn ownership.
Just own it.
You
You're going to do that.
millennials.
Why do you give yourself that accent? Are you some southern fucking asshole from Texas? Like, what the shit? That's just no. But
Gosh, damn, dong, first dong, millennial.
I literally just picture an old man sitting in a rocking chair on his porch talking shit to the kids that walk by. Yeah, I don't know better than that. Like, what the fuck? It's funny. That's what I literally picture. But no, I actually want to delve into, before we move on to a different type of relationship topic, I wanted to talk about cheating, because I feel like cheating is a big thing a lot of listeners are probably
Pre-talk, brother.
But all right, old man Rick, we just sign real quick. But I feel like the motivations for cheating are a couple of things, and I live by this in my own personal experiences with women.
AJ speaks from personal experience. He's an avid cheater. He just loves it.
Avid cheater.
I don't know,
Fuck
is that a
you.
word?
No, you
He has
asshole.
notches
No.
to his curtain. I mean, this guy is just dirty.
So
Dog dang.
are you done? Fuck you, Rick. Fall to the side. All right, so.
Okay, I have some stuff to say on the cheating topic.
Well, before you do, I want you to. I want to get this off my chest
Okay,
first,
go.
because now the listeners think I'm a fucking cheater thanks to ArmShark. let me clarify why I'm passionate about this topic. It's because I was once cheated on, unfortunately, and I kind of dissected it. I really it fucked with me enough where I thought about it. I've only been cheated on once. I've only had maybe 3 real relationships I like to consider. Only one of them I was cheated on.
Wow.
But
I'm just kidding, guys.
was that a good or bad thing? Jesus, should it be a higher number? I mean, there wasn't only 3 women, but 3 women that I actually took seriously. Yeah, there was only 3. But back to what I was saying. I really dissected it for what it was, and I'm sure, I don't know how this is gonna come off, but this is how I authentically look at it. If you're willing to cheat, then you don't really want to be with that person. Mm-hmm. The way I see it is, if you're looking for something elsewhere, then obviously you're not getting it in that situation you're in.
Totally.
But that shouldn't be the reason why you're cheating. Then you need to ask yourself, maybe I shouldn't be in this relationship anymore. Let this person go. That's selfish on my part.
I agree.
Let them know. Be a man about it. Tell them. And same thing goes for women. Like, you need to actually say something. Like, let the guy
As
know.
sad as it is, man,
Dragging on, it's fucked up. You know.
the cheater has an internal issue that has nothing to do with the partner, and the partner's the victim.
They're just taking the
It's super
repercussion
sad.
of it.
The
It is
whole-
the whole idea of it is fucked up.
And
What
I
were you
can
gonna say?
speak
Go
on
ahead.
that. I was cheated on. Like I said prior, my relationship.
Your toxic one, right?
He wanted kids and family. I was diagnosed with leukemia, so they kind of said I couldn't have kids, etc. And I was young. I was 19. I wasn't trying to start a family at 19. You know, I didn't even know anything. This was my first guy I had ever been with, so I wasn't ready. I was ready to marry him, not knowing what I was getting myself into. But 3 years down the line, we ended up living together. Yeah. He had a ring on my finger, you know, and I was so faithful, you know, being the dumb girl. Say what it is what it is, you know. But he ended up messing around with an older woman that had kids. And he ended up getting her pregnant. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I was so hurt. And
especially if you were having sex with this partner, you know what I'm saying? Like why would you have to? You know what I mean? Like I never understood that. If you're already getting that's what like
hurt me the most. It was like, you know? Dude, like you knew, like he got me at such a pitiful time because my family had stopped talking to me for like 2 years. I had no communication with my family. They didn't want nothing to do with me because of him. Because mentally I was just so angry. Believe it or not, I could not joke around. I couldn't be around people for a very long time because I was just so angry and bitter. And anything that anybody said, like, I always had something to say. And I always thought people were always coming after me with their words. When in reality, it was like, fuck, like, he made me believe that I was some, like, crazy girl that no guy ever wanted, and that I was, you know, that he was the best I was gonna get, and that no guy would want, you know, garbage goods, and all this shit that he put in my head. That's me, you know, knowing that, like, he was the only guy I'd ever been with. Like, I had no prior experience, like, you know, I was innocent.
So he had the ammunition. He had full clips there ready to go, because you don't know any better. Like, the only person you dated.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I had co-signed for a Mustang for him. I had helped him get in Lockheed. Like, I was doing everything, and I was 19 years old with, like, a 850 credit score. Like, I put him on my credit cards to help him build his credit. Like, anything he wanted.
And that's why he was a constituent.
And
he knew what he could get
from
her. He
wouldn't even call you his girl.
No.
What a little bitch. I'm sorry. I have to say that.
Yeah, dude, that is
and not
only
that, to be honest with you, like, one thing I started noticing was, like, anything, he was a pothead, so anything he needed weed, I got it. Like, I go to the valley, I got my card for him, like, to go pick up weed, like, anything he needed. Jay's dropped, he got every single pair. The entire relationship, I can honestly, truly say that the most gifts I've ever got was 2 watches. All the J's, because I'm a sneakerhead.
So you got him. You basically bought 2 pairs, one for you, one for him.
Yeah, and
wow, man, this guy's a fucking
I
asshole.
never got, like, all the things he promised me, like all the vacations we took, all the, you know, trips we took. Like,
did he
it
at
was
least
in
pay
my
for them
car.
too?
No.
Oh jeez.
All the dinners I paid for.
Oh God, dude.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, like, there was a point where you
didn't benefit from this then.
Honestly, at the end of the day, like, it hurt me because, you know, I'm not gonna lie. When I found out that he had knocked up a girl, I packed my shit and I left. I didn't want an explanation. He literally...
What kind of explanation did you get for that?
I'm gonna be honest with you. So, like, when I confronted him, I went through his phone because my sisters, mind you, I have 7 sisters. They're all in their 30s. So they know this shit. They seen it. He's lying to you. He started telling me, like, mind you, we were engaged. Okay, I was living with him. Everything. We had everything. He needed money. Babe, hey, I'm short for $500. He needed court fees. He had, like, 3 DUIs. I paid them off. Well, they were like $3,000. Here's my card. Don't worry about it. I'll pay you back. I never seen shit from him.
Wow.
Okay, to top that off, whatever. It is what it is with that. But what...
Have you ever seen that show, Superstore?
Yes.
You totally resemble that. For you listeners out there listening, if you want to know what Mariah looks like, watch Superstore.
Stop.
There's that chick. You know what I'm talking about, right? Have you heard that before?
About.
Yeah, like, totally remind me.
I always thought that too, but I never said it out loud. I was like,
no,
really?
Shut up. No, but I can honestly say that I confronted him, and the first thing that I said was like, I'm leaving, and he was like, how did you find out? It wasn't, I'm sorry. It wasn't like, I'm sorry, I fucked up. No, literally, okay, I know, call me crazy or whatnot. 8 hours after I packed my shit, I went by his house, and the bitch's car was there.
Wow.
Like that. It was 8 hours, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I ended up getting a call from his homie. His so-called homie called me because he was making a public announcement that he had knocked up some random dentist.
Oh my gosh.
Dentist. He was posting on Snapchat.
So this guy had no fucking... He didn't care, dude. He's just like...
He posted it knowing that people knew we were engaged. Like,
How did you last that long in a relationship without understanding or realizing that this guy was garbage?
I honestly started struggling really bad. I became a really bad alcoholic.
So you had like vices distracting you. Meanwhile, he was just doing what he wanted.
I was
totally.
working.
That's a good definition of toxic relationship right there.
It, it really is.
And I was running away. My sisters, like, I'm a very family oriented person. I would.
So let me ask you this real quick.
Go ahead.
Let me cut you off. I don't understand why you stayed around so long though. If it was that bad and you were literally benefiting zero to none.
Because your love's got me toxic.
That's the reason why.
That's
Is that the
exactly
fucking
why.
Britney Spears song?
Yes, sir.
Oh my god. Anyway,
No, but
giving
I
her
can
free
understand-
plugs and shit.
I know
Go listen,
shit.
guys. Hey,
No,
bitch is
but-
not paying us. I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Good point, AJ.
Stop plugging that fucking crazy
But
white broad, man.
honestly, like,
Let's get on against
the
Britney
reason
Spears,
why
man.
I stayed was I didn't know what it. I didn't want to see myself without him, and I thought if I stayed, he would change. Like maybe he would.
So you
see,
just told yourself that it would get better eventually.
Yeah, like, or you know what? Maybe.
Have you tried talking to him? Or did you try talking to him at the time? Or no?
Yeah, I did. Okay, so after
Yo, see the error of your ways,
I'm gonna
bro.
be honest with you. When I found out, I'm gonna admit this. I did do a one night stand with a guy because I was so angry and hurt.
See, it is a
Well,
vicious
but that's
circle.
after you found out.
Yeah, we weren't
But you see-
together.
So it
we
doesn't
were.
count.
No, but
No,
like,
but
let me-
he threw
not
it in my
cheating.
face. He threw it in my face because.
Yeah, it wasn't. You guys were already
That
parts.
defines who he is
Fuck
as a
him.
character. That defines who
Wait,
he is
wait,
as a
wait,
character.
wait.
He-
You
Yeah,
had the
exactly.
balls to
Thank
throw
you.
that in your
He
face?
threw it in
Thank
my
you.
face.
Get the fuck out of here.
straight
You got another girl pregnant while he was with you.
Thank
It's
you.
way worse.
And we were living together. It had been 3 months, and
My
I got the
gosh.
phone call, and he ended up calling me 2 months
Wow.
later because she ended up losing the baby. And I was pissed. Like, I was hurt.
yeah.
I was angry. And he was like, how dare you? How come you couldn't be loyal? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, loyal?
The balls on some
Like,
people, man.
what?
Oh my
Like,
God.
he literally
Wow.
started calling me a whore, all this.
Oh.
And I
Your
was
defense,
like,
your defense to it could have been like, "What the fuck do you mean? I
Loyal
wasn't even
to
loyal
what?
to you. Right now when this happened, I wasn't with you anymore. So
and
fuck
I
you."
can honestly, truly say, like,
You know what I mean? Where's your logic, bro? I'm sorry. I don't
No,
even.
no, it's okay.
I'm just saying,
broke
it
that
blows my
loyalty.
mind, dude. Because it's like, all right, you have the balls to call her a whore because she slept with somebody after you, after she found out you got someone else pregnant while you guys were together. Where the fuck is your logic, dude? Like, I'll get it. You're gonna be mad. Fuck you. Go be mad in a corner, dog, because you fucked everything up. That wouldn't have happened if you didn't do what you did first.
And his
Not
excuse
saying it's right,
his
you know what I mean?
excuse
But-
was,
Sorry, I just
Well,
got
you
passionate
did-
about that. That's
his
fuck
excuse
shit.
was,
There's no excuse
I'm
for that.
sorry, but you didn't communicate. And
Oh
like
my
I said, I
God.
was young.
Bust fuck shit.
He said-
Straight fuck shit.
he
There's
said-
no way around
He
that.
said, you couldn't talk to me, so I had to go find someone else. Like, so you decided to fuck your dental assistant.
Oh my god.
Because what?
Is that who
Is that who
was?
she was?
Yeah.
Oh my
His
gosh!
dental
Wow.
assistant.
Well, that makes sense to how he knew her because I was like, how the fuck did he just random pregnant broad that he?
And-
Do you believe in reincarnation?
That was right away. I was like, what?
Why?
I know, like,
I don't
why?
know if I do. I don't know if I do.
I don't know
it's
either.
just a
It's-
random question. I don't mean to throw off the
No, it's
topic or
okay.
anything like that, but it just
Sometimes I do.
Oh, do you feel like this is some other scumbag piece of shit that existed before, or maybe just reincarnated into another asshole?
or it's possibly a turmoil similar that you had in your past life,
Possibly.
where finally in this life you're overcoming it.
Maybe.
I'm gonna be honest with you. So I see a therapist, and because like mentally, like there's a lot of healing that needs to be done. I know I act strong.
Totally.
And
It's
I'm
therapeutic.
talking,
This is probably therapeutic too. I would imagine.
and
Talking. Right? It's just-
one thing that I realize is that the dad that was never around, I was looking for in him. All the traits he had
wow.
were the same traits my dad had.
Interesting.
He was an alcoholic. My dad never smoked pot. He was a heroin addict. So I watched my dad in the bathroom.
Wow.
You know, and my ex was never involved in a gang, but because he sold weed, he was high up with the ranks, and he knew all the gang members that my dad were connected
Wow.
to. And it was just a very vicious cycle. And the therapist told me, like, you were, as much as like you're independent and you don't rely on a man or anybody for your independence, and that's amazing coming from where you've come from, but one thing that you were looking for was your dad. You were looking for your dad in him, and you were hoping that because you couldn't save your dad, you can save him. So you put all your energy and you're like, you know what? I don't care if I lose my family. I don't care if it takes my life. I don't care if I lose everything that I am. I'm going to try because I couldn't save my dad, but I love you. And if I can save you, then it gives me hope that my dad will come around some years down the line. And honestly, when she told me that, I like broke down and cried because it's true. Like, for those of you that have girls and, speaking from someone that grew up without her dad, if you're a father that's absent in your daughter's life, I'm begging you to make it a habit to get to know her, to love her, to take her on father and daughter dates, because I'm telling you, as she gets older, not only will she hold resentment against you, but she will begin to look for love in the wrong places. And if you're not careful, she'll walk down some very vicious, dark cycles.
I believe it.
And if it's not the path I went with a toxic relationship, it's going to be a way more deadly. It's going to be, drugs involved, alcohol involved, selling her body, getting knocked up from so many guys.
You can have all the riches in the world, but if your girl is hooking, are you really successful?
Yeah.
If your little girl grows up to be a prostitute and you have $1 million, are you seriously a rich man? Are you a successful dude? And that's that's serious talk, man. That's like,
and I can honestly say that, I grew up. My dad was present, but he wasn't present mentally. He was gone. He was.
So that's important too.
In and
That's
out,
another toxic relationship right there.
Exactly, and
that
that's why I
leads to
tell
daddy
you,
issues and other stuff too. Not saying that you have that, but
no, but honestly, to be honest with you, most women and young ladies nowadays honestly struggle with that. They don't know, they think, the parents nowadays. I'm not trying to bash anybody.
I'm not trying to sound old fashioned either, but it helps when a father figure shows you how a man's supposed to treat you, because then the woman goes off of based off of what they think how a guy should treat them.
Like you, AJ, did your father figure show you?
He showed me, bro.
He did.
He showed me how ladies should treat me. Yeah, that's what he showed me.
That's okay, AJ. Let's give it up, AJ.
Oh my gosh.
My father showed me how a man should treat me.
Stop, guys.
Fuck you, alright? Anyway, I got a guest over here mediating our bullshit today. But no, I think this is a good time to transition into the next.
We want to maybe invite Mariah back for an episode to talk more about relationships, because we didn't get to go into
too many other. We delved into a good portion of it in this episode, but it's such a big topic that I know we're going to have to split it in half. So we're going to call this part 1.
Let me go ahead.
No, what were you going to say? Go ahead.
I want to end this with a proverb.
Oh, before you get into that proverb.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, just so you guys know, part 2 we'll focus more on the positive sides of relationships and what it takes to have a good relationship.
We talked a lot about negative stuff, and
Yeah, so part 2 will be more about positive aspects that you need to put into a relationship that you have with your boyfriend or girlfriend, or that you have with your mother, your father, your siblings, your closest friends. We'll get more into that into part 2 of it, and we'll like to have you back for that if you're.
Of course, that's fine.
We talked about threes a little bit. I know Mariah shared some situations that happened 3 times. That kind of leads into my proverb a little bit.
So we'll go ahead and we'll finish with ArmShark's. He always ends our episodes with a proverb, so go ahead and end part 1 with a proverb, man.
So, 3rd time's a charm, yet not every charm is desirable. So anyhow, we really appreciate you being on the show, Mariah.
Yeah, food for thought. All right, guys. So you already know the routine, the drill. We're still getting on every social media right now. You can find us on SoundCloud and YouTube. We'll be on iTunes probably by next week, I believe. We're gonna try to shoot for that goal to be on Apple Music and iTunes next week. Spotify, everything else is gonna follow. Thank you guys for being the loyal listeners that you are. God bless you all. Have a good evening.
Peace.
Bye.